Hey guys, very excited to bring you another video in this series of Python for the Anxious Artist. In this video, we will continue to explore the topic of loops and repetition. And we will explore a second type of loop that we can use within Python to repeat instructions, the while loop. We will talk about when you'll want to use this instead of the for loop, as well as introduce you to the break keyword. Hi, for those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Nelson Lim and I'm a VFX artist as well as technologist. I have contributed art and software to over 16 Hollywood feature films in the past, and right now on my YouTube channel as well as on my website nelsonlim.com, I help other CG practitioners to create more, earn more, and live more. So if you like more of this sort of content, remember to subscribe to this channel as well as hit like on the videos. Very excited, let's jump into the lesson today. In this video, we will be looking at another feature that Python provides to repeat and loop through a set of instructions, the while loop. The while loop will repeat a set of instructions as long as a certain condition is true. As an example, this is useful in a program that wants to continually seek a user's input until the user tells the program otherwise, say to quit. I'm going to paste some code that I have copied earlier, and we're going to run this code and see what it does, and then we'll come back and break it down. So let's run the code. Right now the code is running in the interpreter and it's asking me for some sort of a user input. So I'm going to try A and it says not quitting. I'm going to try B and it prints not quitting as well. Now how about Q? Let's try Q. It prints not quitting and then it quits the program. So let's break it down. We first create a variable called don't quit over here and assign it to true. Our don't quit variable, we use it in our while loop to decide if it's going to quit or repeat itself. We provide that as a condition to our while loop. So the while word or the while syntax is also a special keyword. We don't want to use it as a name for a function or as a name for a variable. I've put this in brackets only for readability. These brackets are not necessary. So this code will work fine even without these brackets. I like to put brackets so it reads really well that this is where the condition is going to have to evaluate to either true and continue looping in this while loop or false and just quit this while loop. And everything else under this while loop will continue to execute and loop for as long as the condition don't quit is true. So in our next line, we see the inbuilt function input. Python provides us a way to gather the user's keyboard input, and we are gathering it up and storing it in the user input variable. So if user input, now we compare it with Q, if user input is going to be equals to Q for quit, we're going to set don't quit to false. So the next time we run back through the while loop to another iteration, don't quit is now going to be false instead of true, and since the condition evaluates as false, it's going to quit the while loop, and that's what it's doing. If the user input is not going to be Q, then definitely go down and process the next statement and say print not quitting. We simply move along and print it. So if you're really sharp, you probably already noticed in the example above that after the user asks to quit, our program continues to print not quitting once more before exiting. There are a few ways to solve this problem, and we could use the else statement that we learned earlier to resolve this bug. But let's look at a more elegant way of squashing this bug. In this example, we're going to forego our don't quit variable altogether. And we're just going to start with our while syntax, open brackets, and we're going to just set it to true. So this is very interesting. Now we have essentially created an infinite loop because while will always evaluate to true. Let's carry on and see what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing as previously, where we're going to gather the user's input from the inbuilt Python function called input and store that into the user input variable. We're going to do the same thing here where we basically compare user input and see if it's equals to just the small letter q. And we're going to do colon, 4 space, and we're going to do another 4 space indent. And in this 4 space indent, we're going to use the special syntax called break, or otherwise also known as a special keyword called break. Hit enter, and we're going to do print not quitting. We'll explain the break in a bit. So now let's run our program. In the same way, we're going to say A, not quitting, B, not quitting. How about C, not quitting? How about Q? We now quit our program and it no longer prints not quitting anymore. So what's happening here? We have made our while loop an infinite loop because true will always evaluate to be true. So how do we get out of our loop? The break keyword over here allows you to break out or exit any loop. So this works in a for loop too. This is different from the continue keyword that we saw earlier in the for loop that merely skips the rest of the blocks of code, like say maybe the print in the current iteration, and then it just goes on to the next iteration of the while loop. What break does is it will cause your program to exit the current while loop or for loop that it is in. So using the break keyword allows us to shorten the overall number of lines spent writing this code and produces a more elegant code. All this while squashing the bug of not having to print not quitting one more time before exiting out of the while loop. Alright, let's do a simple exercise for you guys at home. Modify the example provided above so that the program will quit when the user inputs either Q or spells out quit in full and in either lower or uppercase. See if you can do this without using an else or else if. Alright, so we'll be graduating from our Python interpreter and moving on to starting to write some Python scripts that we can save into .py files and all of that. So question of the day. What is perhaps some of your favorite IDEs, integrated development environments, or editors that you've used in the past maybe to write Python code or just write code in general? If you've enjoyed using them, please share them with us in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you about them. In the meantime, stay safe and I'll see you in the next video.